it was rumored early in the week that Nick Saban actually met with Butch Jones, former Tennessee head coach, and talked with him about the possibility of joining this staff. Now, we say that do you really believe that he was talking to him about joining the staff, or was it possible Nick Saban just gleaning? I mean, sometimes, we report that he was talking to them about joining his staff. Was he? I don't guess it's out of the question. We know earlier he talked about Hugh Freeze possibly joining his staff, either as quarterback coach or an off-the-field analyst. So is that a possibility? So that got me to thinking. If unfortunately, there's been a lot of head coaches in the SEC who've lost their jobs for various reasons. And if you were going to be hiring one of these former coaches, which one would it be? Some recent, some not so recent. Butch Jones is available, doesn't have a job. I was going to throw McElwain in there, but, if you could pull him back, but McElwain probably would have been the obvious answer, so I left him out. There's Gene Chizik from Auburn, national championship winning coach Gene Chizik. By the way, that Gus Malzahn, it's funny to me how Gus Malzahn gets credit for Gene Chizik's national championship as if he won it. I could quarterback, I could coach Cam Newton and get probably to 11 wins and look like an offensive genius. Hey, snap it to Cam. Cam, run around till somebody's open. If they're not open, run it. Every once in a while, fake it. I'm sorry. This was not supposed to be about Gene Malzahn. James, you have to keep me on track.
That's pretty funny.
This is not supposed to be about Malzahn. This is supposed to be about former coaches. Why you let me get off track on Malzahn? Okay, I'm going to get back. We're talking about, would you rather have Gene Chizik, Butch Jones, Hugh Freeze, or Brett Bielema? Okay, James, you can pick. That's the only four options you got. You have out there. You have those four options. Which one? Who you bringing in and why?
I've already mentioned Butch Jones just for being the life champion for one, because you got to have a life champion on this staff.
So you would go for the motivation side. You go for the guy that can motivate the team, make them all life.
I'm feeling awfully generous for Butch Jones this morning, so I'm going to give and somebody actually just did give a vote as well for Butch Jones on the poll.
Well, James, I was going to say Butch Jones got 2%, so that's you and somebody else, right?
Yes.
So Butch Jones, I was trying to think, what would Butch Jones, what would he jump out as? He's had he interned with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and, he was a defensive coach, a graduate assistant at Rutgers, and he was an offensive coordinator at Wilkes University, and which is a D3 school, and I'm trying to think. He coached wide receivers under Rich Rodriguez. He's coached tight ends, and he looks like he's coached a lot of things, but there's nothing like what jumps out at you when you think about Butch Jones from an offensive mindset. There's nothing really there that makes you think I would love to have him. Somebody put Butch Jones was in the band in high school. Robert, that's wrong, man. But it looks like there's one guy on Facebook that's getting a lot of love. Love to know who you think. But let's just go through each one. First of all, Butch Jones. I really just don't see any value. Now, I'm not as bad as Ryan Fowler. Yesterday, Ryan Fowler of the Game, which airs from 2 to 6 here on this station, he was wearing Butch Jones out. If Butch Jones was added to this staff, the guy has been a head coach at Division I a couple times. He was assistant. He would add value to the staff, okay? But would he bring as much distraction and joke making as he would benefit? Remember, we did bring in Lane Kiffin, and we thought that would be a major distraction as the offensive coordinator. So if Nick Saban could bring in Lane Kiffin as an on-the-field OC and manage that process, then he could handle the Butch Jones distraction and media distraction, et cetera. So Butch Jones, let's not kid ourselves. He would be beneficial if he were to join the staff because of his years of experience. But he's not the guy I would pick. Then there's Brett Bielema, a guy who is notorious, or not necessarily notorious, is well known for creating big-time running games. But he was a defensive player and a defensive coach the majority of his career. So what would he bring to Alabama? Would he help? Because when I'm looking at it, James, if I'm getting an off-the-field analyst, I'm looking for probably a defensive analyst that can help maybe coordinate. Because coordinating the defense it's a lot of moving parts that you're trying to match up with moving parts on the other side. I know Saban has been the defensive coordinator, emeritus at Alabama, but the reality of it is you need somebody that can help coordinate a defense. Would Bielema be able to do that having had some of that background? Probably so. But the two guys that I think, and it's neck and neck, it's 42% to 41% between these last two guys. And from a on-the-field standpoint, I'd flip a coin between Gene Chizik and Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze brings to the table the ability to coordinate offense. I think him and Malzahn gets put in the same category, but I do not think his offense is as Mickey Mouse as Hugh Freeze. I mean, as Malzahn, because what was Golden Boy's name? The quarterback that Hugh Freeze had a few years ago that was able, not Chad Kelly, the one before him, Bo Wallace. He was able to help Bo Wallace perform at an extremely high level, James. Bo Wallace played at an extremely high level under Hugh Freeze. So that tells me, what you can't say, Auburn's offense, and I know they get compared a lot, but it's not the same. Hugh Freeze has a totally different philosophy, a much more robust philosophy from the offense side of the ball, because he doesn't have to have a Cam Newton superstar, elite-level quarterback to have a good offense, and Bo Wallace proved that. And then Chad Kelly played at an extremely high level under him. But do we need as much help on offense? Does Mike Locksley, who has a track record as an offensive coordinator, now you got Dan Enos, who's already an offensive coordinator as well, coaching your quarterbacks. Josh Gaddis, who knows what he's doing with wide receivers. I just don't see a lot of value now with the offensive staff. I don't see as much value. I still see great value if we could get a Gene Chizik type of coach. And that's what everybody on Facebook seems to be saying. Gene Chizik, without a doubt. Gene Chizik, Hugh Freeze. Robert said Hugh Freeze is a rule breaker. Butch Jones was in the band in high school. Chizik, without a doubt. Chizik, by far. That's what people are saying. Bielema is a buffoon. Brad Bielema is a crybaby, although he knows some football. That's the comments you're getting. So I think Gene Chizik, I think the Alabama fans are clearly saying, not clearly, it's down between Butch Jones and
Brett Bielema does know how to have his team convert fluky, last-ditch 4th and 18 type of plays. You remember that 2015 win at Ole Miss when they were, 4th and forever, threw that lateral all the way across the field, and were able to pick up the first down and actually helped Alabama that year get that SEC title game.
That was Alabama's biggest win of the year, wasn't it? Right? Because was that 2012 when Alabama went on to win a national title? All right, hey, I think Gene Chizik would be awesome. We got a young defensive coach, and that's my concern going into spring, and we're going to have that conversation. What's your biggest concerns going into the spring now that the coaching staff is set? Which one of these guys, or maybe you have someone else that you'd like to see added to this staff that's out there looking for a job?